Welcome to World History Notes, my World History Notes, where I discuss things I'm learning about world history, and then I post them here and share them with you. And I don't expect you to agree with my conclusions, um, but I do hope that what I say will encourage you to study it on your own and come to your own conclusions. And that's my hope. So, what we're doing now, we're getting some background on the Cold War. And right now, I'm building up to the Yalta conference, the YALTA conference, which is important. But I'm not going to get there quite yet because there's a couple things I want to go over today. So I'm going to bring up occasionally. I'm going to bring up some people that were communist, either Soviet agents or Communist Party members who played a terrific influence on our government in forming policy during and after World War II, and then go on into some events that are important also. So today I want to talk about an influential communist who worked in the American government during World War II, Karl Marzani. Um, he started out. I'm going to start with a liberal source and move to a conservative source to find out more about him. He was born in 1912. He was a political activist. He was very busy, not only as a volunteer soldier in the Spanish Civil War, but he was an organizer for the Communist Party USA. And he was a United States intelligence official. He also made a documentary film. He got an Academy Award nomination. He's authored, published. During World War II, he served in the Federal Intelligence Agency, as well as the Office of Strategic Services. Later, he served in the U.S. Department of State. He picked the targets for the Doolittle raid on Tokyo in 1942. Interesting, huh? Marzani served nearly 3 years in prison for having concealed his former Communist Party USA, CPUSA membership when joining the war effort in 1947. Now, some more details on Marzani. Um, he served in the Office of Strategic Services during World War II. Now, that was the precursor to the CIA. He also made a political documentary, um, and Soviet archives and the Venona decryption revealed that he was an NKVD spy and Soviet propagandist. In he he the Soviet published "We Can Be Friends." That was his. May have been plagiarized in a movie. In Oliver Stone's The Untold History of the United States. But anyway, um, so he was in the Spanish Civil War, and he um, was a volunteer. And then after that, he returned to the United States, and then he joined the OSS during the war, and he founded and directed Union Films, and after the war, a film documentary company that had contracts with United Electrical and other unions to do documentaries. And one film entitled Deadline for Action, um, and the film blamed the United States for the Cold War. So anyway, he was convicted of fraud charges, receiving government pay while concealing Communist Party membership, and he was convicted in 1947. So he served 32 months of a 36-month sentence. So anyway, it's very interesting. Uh, he wrote a book called The Promise of Euro Communism, which I thought said some things that were really interesting about American communism, and what's happening. In his book, in the first chapter, the end of Soviet hegemony, he writes, and think about this: what's going on today? The distinguishing characteristic of Euro communism, as compared to other forms of communism, Soviet, Chinese, Cuban, etc. That's the totalitarian brand. Is its stress on democratic procedures, including those which have developed under capitalism. So they they the Bill of Rights for the Euro communists was a major step forward in self government. Similar constitutional provisions, fully implemented and accompanied by economic democracy, become a necessary component of socialist democracy. So, this is a very interesting take on how he viewed Euro communism and what eventually results in the modern European Union, and also the form of government that our government has become, and how we're, what's happening in our country. Just my own opinion on that. I just thought it was interesting. So you can read The Promise of Euro Communism if you're interested too. But I got through that first couple of chapters. I'm still working on it. All right. So now, to finish up today, I want to go into uh, World War One allowed the peoples of the various colonies of the European powers to see the weakness inherent in their control. 2 decades of anti-colonialism and nationalism came to a point during the crushing events of World War II. A war is always bad morally and politically, even on the winners, even if it is a just war and a necessary war. The Atlantic Charter of August 1941 and I'm building up to Yalta, was controversial among the Allies because Roosevelt had included the noble concept that all people should have the right to choose their own form of government, which was a blow to the British Empire. Churchill gave a speech to his own House of Commons the month after the speech, according to William Newman's After Victory, Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin, the making of the peace. In this speech, that emphasized that this agreement did not apply to colonies loyal to the British Crown, a point that he was asked by American diplomats not to make. This concept, as good and reasonable and American as it sounds, was the perfect policy to encourage the Soviet Union, who had no such ideas. The chaos of the revolutionary movements and the proxy wars fought all over the world in the following decades can be related to the confusion caused by this policy or expression of an ideal. Colonialism was wrong, but so is neocolonialism, which has replaced it, permitting third world governments to have a semblance of self government, but that being undermined by the corruption that the money the first world nations pour into them to influence, gain favor, and control. However, as wrong and as exploitive as conquering someone else's country is, just throwing your hands up and saying, oh, we're going to be nice and walk away and leave the chaos up to you is worse. The European powers had a responsibility, America included, to help countries in a peaceful transition to self government with borders based on ethnic groups, tribes, and political entities alike, smaller territories that were manageable. Instead, the results were tribal wars, genocides, and constant revolutions, coup d'etat, and unrest as tribal jealousies and corruption dominated locales, urged on by Soviet and Western governments in a constant state of war. So next, as we get to the Yalta conference, we're going to also pick up a couple of other people that were influential communists in World War II era government in the United States, and we'll move on with other countries as well. So I hope that you got some interest, something that you'll want to look up stuff about this, because it's a fascinating time and very important to us today, and it does explain a lot of things about what's going on today in our country, and we'll find that out as time goes by. Thank you for listening, and hope you have a great day.